Hi everyone, today we are continuing on with our holiday themed tutu dresses and skirts. This is going to be Halloween based, or if you're doing a party and Minions is the theme, we're going to try to create this into a Minion. And we're going to use blue primary color tulle, a yellow crochet top. You can use an elastic base instead, or you can use the shorter crochet top. We're going to use, they call this royal. To me it's the primary color blue ribbon satin for the sleeves. We may use some black for the eye area around the sides. That just depends. And we're going to put a googly eye on. And I think we're going to use this bigger one so that you can really see it. So I'm going to go through this with you, showing you that I put one layer. I'm going to put the second, third, then I'm going to add some yellow on the sides, and that's going to emulate the little the little minions wearing the overalls. And then we're using that blue satin for the overall effect. And if I can find some white buttons, we're going to put that on each too to also help make this really stand out as quote unquote overalls. So let's get started. We're using 3 or 4 inch pieces of tulle. Bring the ends as close as possible together, squishing that folded spot as much as possible, and it just makes it easier to run through your crocheted hole. Under, pull it out, widen it with your fingers, bring the tails through, and gently tug down. Now, remember what I've said in other videos. This very top, see if you can see that, this very top layer, or this top string, don't start here or end here. And the same is for the bottom, because this thin thread can break on you and then you have all kinds of trouble trying to repair it, because it's kind of like, you know, the whole part of the tulle goes the thin thread, then down, then down, then down, then down. So you don't want to use that. It's sort of like an anchor at the top and at the very bottom. Before we finish placing the rest of the tulle on here, I wanted to show you a couple of options besides the wiggly eye and how you can create that silver piece that they have, and then the black. Just use some ribbon for the black area, and then you have a few different options for creating that silver effect. First thing that you can do is, if you're creating this in an adult size or you don't have the wiggly eyes, you can use some thick cardstock and cut it into a circle, some felt that's white and black, and you can also use silver paint and aluminum foil. So you know when you buy those 6x25 rolls or the 3x25 rolls, how there's end caps? Well, what you can do, I always have a ton of these and I never throw them away because I think, well, maybe I can use it. Well, here's a perfect example. You can pop that off. If it's got a sticker, take it off, and you can use that for this project. Now we've got some silver ribbon here. The only thing that we're not going to show you is painting it with silver paint because I don't have any. Take your ribbon and just do it like you would on some of our other videos where you see us putting it around the elastic base, the satin ribbon. Well, you're going to take this silver ribbon and you're just going to bring it in and out, making sure that it overlaps so that way you don't have any gaps. Now the silver ribbon that I have, it's perfect color, but it's sheer almost. It's got a weave fabric to it, or a weave make to it. So when I place the glue, I have to go ahead and make a second flap so I don't burn myself. You may be able to avoid this if you're using satin ribbon. And all I'm doing is I'm first closing it. I didn't have to use any hot glue to start it, only to finish it. I add a dab of hot glue at that last part of my ribbon. Press firmly, make sure it dries, And then I go around and I put a little bit more glue just to make sure it really adheres to the plastic end cap that we're using. And while I'm letting that dry, which doesn't take too long, I'm going to show you how to use aluminum foil. And I love this aluminum foil because I think you can get it at the dollar store. They come in sheets and you're not going to need as much as I'm using. All you're going to do is you're going to wrap that foil all the way around, pressing firmly to make sure that it really gets the shape of your end cap. And then to make sure that that aluminum foil stays on there, I'm going to put a little extra glue all the way around, making sure that it stays. Nobody's going to see it anyway, so don't worry about it. You know, the back. Be careful. Aluminum foil gets hot, so if you're adding hot glue, be very careful. Now you can also use the double-sided tape if you want. This just seems better for me, but try your hand at it either way, whichever supply you have on hand. The key thing is we're trying to use things that we have readily available instead of having to go out and buy each individual embellishment. And as you see here, it looks really great and it really emulates Stuart's Minion's eye. So cut off using non-fabric scissors. Use your utility scissors when you're cutting off your excess aluminum, because that can really ruin your scissors. And now you can see, we're going to show you with the wiggly eye. You just stick it on there. And you'll use hot glue, but just to show you, I'm adding a piece of tape that I folded over so that way it'll stick so I can show you. Looks great on the aluminum style and it looks great on the ribbon style. That's a couple of inexpensive options for you while you're creating your Minion tutu. Now this crocheted top, a lot of people ask me questions as to size. This will fit anywhere from 20 to 24 inches around the chest maximum. And it may vary depending on how much you stretch it as you're placing your tool. Now we're going to put the yellow to emulate the sides of the Minion, and all I did was take the seam area and then I counted how many crocheted holes to get to the sides to evenly place it on both sides. Again, I counted from the seams going one way and then I counted the same amount of holes that I wanted to pass to get to the side again, and then I added my yellow tulle. Now these alligator clips are great because what I did was I took my alligator clip after I counted on one side and I put that where my starting point's going to be, and I left it alone. And I did that for both sides. That way I don't have to get confused if I have to stop, go do something else and come back to it. I don't have to try to count again or try to remember where I started or left off at. Now we're just adding 2 layers per side, and then we're taking our blue tulle and we're going to raise it up to match where the yellow ends. Some of you may be able to guesstimate better than I can and do all the blue first and then do the yellow. For me, this is just easier. But now we have the yellow tulle and the blue tulle, and it's all even, and on the sides it's all created the way that we want it. Now let's get to placing our embellishments on there. These little felt pieces don't really work. You probably need to put like 4 of them in the middle to make it really work. So instead what we're going to do, if you've got yellow fabric left over, that's great. But what we're going to do is we're going to use a piece of 1.5 inch satin ribbon, and that's just going to be inside, and then we're going to glue that and this together. That looks about right. I'm going to go ahead this is what it would look like with the ribbon covered. Plastic piece, plastic end piece. And this is what it looks like. Now to use your black ribbon, now if you've got a little bit skinnier than the 1.5 inch, I'd suggest using that, but I don't, so we're just going to use what I have on hand. Okay. So I'm going to do my ribbon first. Bring it together, fold it in half,
kind of make a mark. And now I know where to put my dab of glue. And this will be easier for you because you'll be working on a surface. Now we'll add a little bit more glue at the ends, but right now we just want it to stay in place while we do the eye. Now remember, you can make your own eye, or you can buy one of these oversized wiggle or jiggly eyes. Okay. Put a good amount of glue. Now you may be noticing, and I'm not sure if you can in the video, but the glue that I'm using actually has glitter in it. That was because we were doing a baby shower and I was trying to do a project for that, some crafts. So you don't need to use that. Regular all-purpose hot glue will be just fine. And just attach it to the center. Press firmly. Make sure that you're not indenting though the plastic cover. Now if you want to make sure that it really stays, you can always take off a little part of this aluminum foil and glue the eye some more and then attach it. But this looks like it's fine. Make sure that you check it real well because I have not usually used aluminum foil with hot glue, so we just want to make sure that it stays. Make a little hole and I'm going to add some more glue all the way around. A circle of glue, all the way around the top, and I'm just making sure that this aluminum foil is not going anywhere because I want the Halloween costume to last. Place it on the satin ribbon and the satin backing that you've made. Press firmly, still pressing firmly. Every time you add glue, make sure that you press firmly again. It's time to close this up. So I'm going to take my trusty alligator clip just on one side. Now it may be easier for you to go from underneath. Now I'm going to put my glue on my felt circle. And then I'm going to add one more felt circle. And then I'll add glue to that after I've done the other side, just to be sure.
To create the overall straps, what we're going to use is royal blue satin ribbon. And if you don't know the measurement for around the arm, that's alright. You'll just make an extended length and we'll create it where you can leave it loose in the back and flowing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 4 pieces. I'm going to make sure that I heat seal them, and I'm going to attach it to the front and attach it to the back, each piece on each side. And then I can tie a bow or I can tie a cute knot, and I don't have to worry about the size of the child's shoulder width. Pick the area that you want to put your straps on. Make sure that you don't put it at the very, very top because you don't want that thin thread to break on you. Pull it through your crocheted hole. Make sure that you leave enough room so that there's mobility there. Make sure that your flap, that's going to be the part with the glue, is on the inside, not the outside. Now run a line of glue, bring up the long piece of ribbon, Press firmly and make sure that they line up pretty evenly, and do your next section. As I said, if you don't have the measurements, you can easily take both sides and tie it into a bow. It's adjustable, or tie it into a little knot, something creative. Or if you have a long extended piece, then you only need 2 pieces of ribbon, and you're going to do the same concept. You're going to run a line of glue at the flap area that you've created, pressing firmly, and now take that ribbon and put it through the crocheted hole in the back and let it flow. This eliminates you trying to figure out what size to be precise that you need for that shoulder area to create effective straps. Honestly, the hardest part in doing the straps to me is just placing it where they line up correctly in the front and the back if you're having to use 4 pieces of ribbon. Other than that, it's pretty easy to do. And here's an example of how it looks when you just tie each strap together. If your glue seems to be clumpy, you can take your craft iron, a regular iron, and run it across a few times, and it should smooth it out for you. You can also use a standby, which is add an embellishment to the area that doesn't look right to you. Now, there are several different ways that you can really make this stand out. We can add some hair, we can add a mouth, or we can just leave it as is. The possibilities are endless, and Minions are the thing. They're in. I see posts on it all the time, so hopefully this tutorial will help you create one. If you don't have time, we've got these available on our sites. We thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. From my family to yours, have a very blessed day. And remember, anything you create is going to be fantastic. Why? Because you took the time to create it. Happy crafting!